Good evening. Today is the 13th day of February, 2023, and I'm Scott J. Hamilton, and this is the Hamilton Report. Wow, what a week it's been. The State of the Union address, balloons in the sky, unidentified flying objects in the sky, Republicans just losing their minds or what's left of them, and Democrats trying to do the right thing. But it's still Black History Month, and my guest tonight is an amazing man that I'm really, really anxious for you to meet. And we'll do that and talk about all these things on tonight's The Hamilton Report. When we were together last Monday evening, we had all just suffered through the very lackluster and self-aggrandizing State of the State address here in Oklahoma that afternoon. And we talked just a little bit about what we might be expecting in the State of the Union address. I have to tell you, friends, it was more than what I could have hoped for. It was exciting to see, and I know that many of you, probably most of our viewers, did watch it. But I just want to share this very brief clip from our friends at the Lincoln Project that I think that they captured it so beautifully.
Our democracy itself. It's the most fundamental thing of all. With democracy, everything's possible. Without it, nothing is. The direction we now take is going to decide the course of this nation for decades to come. We're not bystanders of history. We're not powerless before the forces that confront us. But I've never been more optimistic about our future, about the future of America. We just have to remember who we are. We're the United States of America, and there's nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together. The State of the Union is strong.
You have to take notice that the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, could not even stand to say that the State of the Union is strong. And he also couldn't bring himself to stand when the rest of the room erupted in applause over capping insulin at $35 a month for our seniors. You know, it's a shame. But I'm not going to dwell on that. Instead, I'm just going to say I am so proud of our president, President Joseph Biden, who continues to work for all of us, and that's exciting. He did say something in his speech that was particularly poignant to me. He said, white parents don't have to have the talk that black parents and brown parents have to have with their kids, especially boys. And nothing could be further from the truth. And it needed to be said by our president that we are not on equal footing in this country. And that's why this month, and frankly, we're going to slip in some for next month as well, but that's why we are focusing on Black history, Black culture. And our guest tonight is a man who he's making history because of the culture that he's presenting here in Oklahoma. And he is an Oklahoman by birth. This is where he chooses to live now. And I can tell you that because of his writing and the plays that he has written and directed and produced, we're going to take a look at just a few of those now. Angela, if you would toss those up for us, because this man continues to give so much of himself in the ways that he writes, the characters that he develops, the storylines that are truly his own, and the incredible work that he is doing makes a powerful difference for all of us in Oklahoma now. That being said, it's my privilege to welcome back to the Hamilton Report my friend LàCharles Purvey. LàCharles, welcome back to the show, sir.
I am so happy to be back, and it's been a minute, man. I'm glad to be here.
It has been a minute. The last time I think that you were on, you were in rehearsals. I was in rehearsals, and we were trying to do the whole thing in a very hurried way. So tonight we have a little more time to actually catch up. Want to welcome our viewers who are jumping in the comments. Dorothy, always good to see you here, and Jana, I'm thrilled that you are with us because I know that you are also a fan of LàCharles's work. LàCharles, let's talk a little bit about you before your work. You are a man of mixed race, correct?
Yes, sir.
So
absolutely.
What is the driving force behind you focusing on Black characters in your writing, situations that may or may not be unique to Black individuals or families, but certainly are poignant? What is it that drives you in that direction?
I think it's very important. A mentor of mine, Mr. Al Bostic, who you probably know, he has a saying that says, in order to be yourself, you have to see yourself. So I'm all about Black representation on stage and about getting the next generation of actors and artists and politicians to say, hey, if he can do it, he looks like me, I can do it too. So it's very important that we have fair and equal representation on stage.
Representation matters. It absolutely
does.
And I need to say this as well. You also don't write villainous characters for white actors. You are very even-handed, although I wouldn't mind playing a villain in one of your productions. But all of your characters you treat with such respect. And I can tell you, our audience, this, not just as a writer, because certainly LàCharles is an extraordinary writer, but as a director, I can't think of anyone who would be a better actor's director than you are, LàCharles. You encourage people to get inside the character and to become them and to make that character their own. Mm-hmm. How do you not claim pride of authorship when someone takes a character maybe in a little different direction than you had originally planned?
Well, for me, it's all about the story. The story absolutely has to come first. And if we're in a rehearsal process and an actor has this brilliant idea of how to push the story forward, I'm all ears, because at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about telling that story and putting it out there.
Well, I can tell you've been very generous with me, particularly in Pieces of Him. Mm-hmm. That was such a terrific opportunity for me to play with such a talented cast and deliver a story that clearly was very important to you. As I think about other things that you've done, I believe that everyone who has commented so far tonight actually came to see The Exonerated. What is it like for you, LàCharles, directing someone else's work?
It was a little bit, I don't want to say it was daunting, because when I direct my work, I have 100% leeway. If I want to change a line here, I can. If I want to change a character attribute, I can. But with directing somebody else's work, you always have to be sure that you are respectful of their text and their intention. And that's the biggest difference to me, is just kind of like being a little bit more diligent to just be careful of their work and what they're trying to say, and to bring it out the best way as possible.
I'm listening to you, and I think that you're being awfully modest there, and I'll tell you why. Because it's not an easy thing to have in your mind. You read a script and you know where you want to take the show, mm-hmm. and yes, someone else put those words down. But it's at the end, they're going to remember who directed the piece and who acted in the piece, mm-hmm. probably more so than the writers. So I think you do a really good job.
Thank you.
Of that balance.
Thank you.
Now, you said last year that you were going to step away from the stage for a while. Mm-hmm. What prompted that for you?
I think there comes a point in time where and I'm trying to measure my words here carefully. There comes a point in time to where you kind of want to expand, and I think that that's the biggest part, because I've always wanted to step into video and film. That's a natural progression for me. And so what I want to do is take this next year off, because I'm actually working on a web series right now that I'm going to be focused on all of this year. So I want to take this next year off and get my feet wet in the film pool and to see if I'm any good at it. I've always, just been curious to see, can I pull off a film? So that's basically it. It's no hard feelings anywhere or nothing untoward or nothing like that. It's just I kind of want to pivot a little bit just to stretch my artisticness.
And there's certainly nothing wrong with that, because you can always step right back onto the stage.
Of course.
And that's I admire you for trying something new, and for you.
And I really want to give Regina and the Vanguard a shout out, because they've been very supportive of whatever I wanted to do, whatever I needed to do. I can always step right back in to that, and I've got that promise from the Vanguard. So big shout out to the Vanguard for doing what they're doing, especially as far as African American theater, and Miss Regina Lane, who is the founder of the Vanguard. They've been very gracious and letting me grow as an artist, and they don't hold me back. They don't give me too many restrictions. They don't hold me back. They say, LàCharles, if it works, do it. So yeah.
Well, here's a piece of fan mail from you, from Jana Lewis Harkins, saying that she is thankful to have experienced both the brilliance of Al Bostic and of you.
Oh,
so putting the two of you in the same sentence is a pretty big deal.
That's a big deal. Thank you. That's a huge deal.
I want to look at your process a little bit, because I know when we workshopped pieces of him, it was far from being a completed project.
Right.
And that's why you do workshops. So you can see what's working, what maybe needs to be adjusted. But before it ever gets to there, walk us through your process.
My process is really, I don't know. It's I sit with the story in my head for about a year. So it's there for a year or more. I'm trying to work out the characters in my head even before I touch a keyboard or a typewriter. And the one thing for me that I have to be able to see as a writer is I have to be able to see the ending of the show. And then I work backwards and say, well, how did I get there? How did I get to the ending? So that's basically me. I see the beginning normally, and I'll see the end, and I'll meet somewhere in the middle.
I got to tell you, that is so refreshing to hear, because as a writer, I often know where I'm going to go to end the piece, whether that's an op-ed piece or just a piece of fiction that I'm writing, whatever it is. And most writers will give you a big song and dance about, oh, I let the characters take me where they will. And yeah, okay, if that works for you, that's fine. But I'm glad that you shared with us that you have the beginning and the end, and then the task really is figuring out how the characters get from one place to the other.
Correct. Yes.
What's been your most difficult play to write?
My most difficult play to write. I think this last Pieces of Us was the most difficult for me to write, because in that particular play, we deal with somebody that's wanting to take their own life because they are physically ill, like they have cancer and their quality of life is going down. And we don't talk about that a lot. We don't talk about pull the plug if my quality of life goes down, or, you have some states where you have assisted suicide, like in Oregon. People get to decide, okay, instead of going downhill and being less human, I'm going to pick the date that I'm still kind of okay, but I don't want to be put through this misery. And that's a very hard topic, because nobody wants to lose anybody, especially to suicide. And that's what it dealt with. And especially in the Black community, I've never seen a Black play that dealt with suicide. I haven't seen one yet. So it was hard, man, just trying to keep the balance and all of that.
you were also dealing with multi generations in that piece.
Yes.
People that are no longer here,
Mm-hmm.
people that are grown who were little people in one of the other productions,
Right.
and so that was a handful. I want to go back for a moment though, because you were talking about suicide, and
Mm-hmm.
you have been a very strong proponent of mental health, particularly among Black men.
Yes.
And I don't think that can be underscored enough. Not just Black men, but men in general, who don't seek the help that they need.
Right.
Tell me why that's so important to you.
Well, being somebody who has suffered from depression and anxiety ever since I was around 16 years of age, it's very important. And the other thing that a lot of people might not know is that within the last year, I was recently diagnosed as being bipolar, which explains a lot of my mood swings and a lot of things like that. And it's very important to me to kind of get that message out and to let people know that they're not alone, and to let people know that there is help and that you can have a great quality of life no matter what your mental illness is or what your chemical imbalance is or whatever you want to call it. But for me, it's very personal because I struggle with mental health day to day. So I'm always going to push for, okay, what can we do to get the message out there? What can we do to remove the stigma of mental health?
And I'm very grateful for that. That's a community service that we cannot underscore enough, because we life is a challenge on the best days,
Right,
and so we all have mental health issues that we have to tend to.
right.
So tell me about your web series that you're working on. What's it about? Who's involved in the process?
Okay, my web series is called Tangled Webs, and it comes from that poem, "Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive." So, this is about a married man. He is a high school English teacher, and he is struggling with his sexuality. He doesn't know if he wants to be married to his wife anymore. He's kind of stepped outside of the marriage and has been having an affair with somebody of the same sex, with another man. And I wanted to deal with that dynamic. Like, what is somebody's thought process when society tells them they're supposed to do one thing, but they're miserable in that traditional role? So it's just about a couple kind of navigating sexuality and deciding what's best for each of them, the man and also the woman. And we've got a couple of great cast members. I mean, we've got Rory Littleton. He's going to be my lead. Sydney Smith, who you've worked with before. Have you worked with Sydney? You worked
Yeah.
with Sydney? Okay, work with Sydney Smith. I've got Tavi Blakey, Greg Howell, Antisha Soul. So we've got a lot of local names and a lot of local heavy hitters that are in. And then we have Michael Deshawn, who I think is just brilliant. He's a brilliant 20-something-year-old actor who's going to be playing in the show as well. So we got a total, and you're in it.
I have a little cameo.
You have a little cameo. So yeah, it's just about somebody on the DL. And I think that sexuality is something that in the African American community, we don't talk about a lot. We like to sweep it up under the rug. We'll stay in relationships because we're miserable, not realizing that you may be attracted to somebody else or somebody of the same sex. So I kind of wanted to deal with that.
As you're speaking, I'm struck by the bravery that you show in tackling some tough topics that a lot of people would just rather stay away from.
Right. And we're in Oklahoma.
And I'll be honest with you. Some of the things that you've talked about are prevalent in many, many places throughout our country.
Yes.
But you're right. I mean, Oklahoma has its own set of peculiarities when it comes to speaking the thing out loud, whatever the thing is. And so, again, why do you do that? What gives you the inspiration to just say, look, we got to talk, people?
I've never been afraid of the truth. Even when I was really small, I would always point out things. And, I think if it's going to help and uplift somebody, it doesn't matter what that truth is, because it can help somebody. And that's my biggest thing, is helping somebody, having somebody come to a show or watching the web series and saying, that reminds me of me. They made it through, I can get out. Or that reminds me of my uncle, so I see what he went through. So that's basically it, is I want to help people and I want to uplift. And that's the biggest thing. And of course, entertain. It's called show business for a reason. So of course I want to entertain, but I just want to help people in the way that my gifting, which is writing, will allow me to help people.
Our mutual friend Don Jordan, who was the founding artistic director of City Rep, posed a question a week or so ago online, saying, "What is something that gives you great joy?" And he was speaking particularly to theater folk here. And I said, one of the greatest joys that I have is being able to move someone to tears through a character.
Yeah.
What is one of your great joys working in the theater?
Watching the audience react to the play, like when they laugh in the exact right spot, when they come up to you after the show and tell you, you really helped me. So my biggest joy is actually being able to sit down with the audience in that energy and to experience my work the way that they experience it. That's what I get joy from. And
we should point out that you don't miss a show.
I do not. No, I don't.
Every single performance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a commitment. And I really do respect and admire that. As you are talking with young people, you mentioned young actors, and look, at my age, everyone is younger now. But what are things that are you're discovering in people that they're passionate about, LàCharles?
I've discovered people that are passionate about theater, because you get people in there that might be, amateurs or who have never done theater before. And at the end of that experience, they are totally changed. They have a different respect for it. They've opened up a new skill set that they can use in the future. I mean, theater is not just for you to be on stage. Theater helps you in the rest of your life. Helps you deal with customers. It helps you deal with whatever. It helps you.
It's Alan D. Cole, who is an extraordinary actor. He had done some stuff, but never a play. He had never been in a theatrical production until you cast him in The Exonerated.
Right.
And he told me, he said that changed him forever. And I'm looking at him now, and he is doggone everywhere.
Right. I was so happy to run across Alan. Alan is a natural actor. I mean, he was always a natural actor from jump. He was a little bit nervous at first, being his first show, but I consider myself, as you mentioned earlier in the program, I'm not a director's director. I'm an actor's director. So I'm more about, how do I make this actor look good? How can I make this actor shine in this role? And how can this actor be poignant in the role? And Alan just bought all of that naturally. Like I said, he was nervous at first, but once he got it, he got it. And I want to say Alan is a brilliant actor. I really admire Alan's acting ability.
And that's just one example of the people that you've worked with
and
nurture. How soon can we expect Tangle Webs to come out?
Tangle Web. So the plan. So we're actually starting to shoot in April. Tangle Webs would be out probably by the fourth quarter. So I'm going to say November, December. It gives us plenty of time to put it in post and to make it look good. But yeah, it'll be towards the end of the year before we'll see it.
Okay. I'd like for you to take just a moment now, because you've also spent time as an educator in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to our younger viewers tonight, especially those who maybe in junior high or high school, who are, they want to be involved in theater. They want to be involved in drama and speech, but peer pressure, even now, can drive them away from that. What advice would you have for them, LàCharles?
It's easy for me to tell somebody not to be afraid, because I've never been afraid of theater. But what I would tell them is just get out there and try. You never know what you're capable of until you get out there and try it. And I would also tell you to look for theater programs around the city. Like if you're middle school age, elementary age, I know that Oklahoma Children's Theater has some great stuff going. I would look, if you're on social media, there's plenty of theater groups that will post. So I just say, look for the opportunities and then don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Just go in there. The worst they can tell you is no. And that's not the last time, because you'll have 100 more auditions and somebody will finally tell you yes. So keep at it.
Very good. Now let's play a little quick question and answer here.
Okay.
Favorite Black playwright?
August Wilson.
Favorite white playwright?
William Inge.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Favorite Black actress?
Oh, favorite Black actress? Definitely right now. Well, for the last couple of years, Viola Davis.
It doesn't get better than that. How about me?
Say that one more time, Scott.
Who's your favorite male actor?
Favorite male actor? And he's really underrated, but I love LaKeith Stanfield. He was in Get Out. He's done a lot of other things. He works with Jordan Peele a lot. He's a really great and understated actor, but he's brilliant.
That's a new name for me, so I
appreciate that. Stanfield. Yeah.
I know none of us really have the answer to this, because we're here now. Oklahoma is home for now. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Do you see yourself still in Oklahoma?
You know, Oklahoma this is the one thing I have to say about Oklahoma. Oklahoma has grown leaps and bounds in the last couple of decades. We've got our own movie studio now. We've got, stuff coming up. I would like to go out of state for a couple of years just to experience another theater scene and to be able to bring that back to Oklahoma. That's what I want to do. Yeah.
Very good. Jana has a question. How do we access your web series?
Well, the web series, I'm going to post it. So look for it on YouTube and Facebook. And if it comes out on any other platform, I'll let you guys know. But for right now, YouTube and Facebook. And then we're looking at other platforms. So I will definitely keep you guys in the loop as to when things are going to come out and where it's going to be playing at.
Okay, you're saying fourth quarter. That means that you've got to commit to coming back to the Hamilton Report just before the web series launches, and you can tell us all about it. Is that a promise?
Yes, that is a promise.
LàCharles, it's been so good talking to you tonight. You're a very encouraging man, and I cannot help but encourage you to just keep giving of yourself in the way that you do, because you, sir, make life better in Oklahoma for all of us.
Thank you.
Much admiration, much respect, and peace to you. We'll talk real soon.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Well, friends, really quick, I wanted to tell you about next Monday's episode of the Hamilton Report. While it's still legal to do so in Oklahoma, we are going to continue our Black Month, Black History and Culture celebration next week by presenting the fabulous Giselle Monet, a wonderful Black drag queen who is so multi-talented. But I wanted her to come on and talk to us to help debunk some of the nastiness that we're hearing on the right side of the aisle. So that's next Monday night at 6 o'clock. Probably 6:30. Yes. Finally, this note. I hope that you will consider making a contribution to the Oklahoma Democratic Party. Our party runs not with people who max out to us every year, but by people who can afford to give $5, $10 a month. Whatever amount that you can afford is something that we are grateful for, because we are building new programs to help counties and to elect more Democrats in every part of the state. My friends, thank you so much for tuning in. Always a pleasure and an honor that you invite me into your space on Monday evenings. I'm grateful that you were with us tonight. I hope that you'll share this on social media. And I hope that you have a wonderful Valentine's Day. And if you're by yourself, treat yourself, because no one is more special than you. On behalf of all of us at the Oklahoma Democratic Party, I'm Scott J. Hamilton. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week. Good night.